And we're recording.
Hello, we are live on a special recording session.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about that because we're actually recording on a Tuesday now.
Yeah, which feels good.
Yeah, a little bit. I'm proud of us.
I like the evening feel. We usually do this like during the day.
Yeah, I do. I do like the evening aspect of this too.
Yeah, I feel like I have like some sort of different energy right now.
I also feel like we're not gonna get interrupted by people doing radio shit in the other room.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, we can get right into it.
Yeah, what are we talking about first today?
Well, first and foremost, World War III.
Yeah, World War III, slow burning start.
Yeah, I saw Jon Stewart's piece on it. I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good too.
Yeah, I like how he exaggerates and like the audience like goes with him, and then he just drops something, and the audience is like, "Oh."
Yeah, Stewart's. I think Stewart's one of the few like really independently minded.
He can say whatever he wants.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. He's reached the level where like he's a Kanye. He's a white Kanye.
I mean, I get what you're saying, but it's definitely two different, very blah 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 blah. I can't speak right now. Two very different people.
Yeah.
I mean, Kanye probably really doesn't like Jon Stewart because he's a Jew.
Yeah. You know what? I would bet you $1,000 that Kanye laughs at Jon Stewart. Like he likes his comedy.
I bet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know that whole. Okay, so that the day that the strikes happened on.
Wait, hold on. So we're gonna talk about what went out over the weekend, Iran.
We don't need to give him a fucking outline of what's happening. I just want to talk about what I was gonna say. You son of a bitch.
And then, you know what? Fine.
Yeah, that's right.
No, because the audience gets confused.
I don't care.
You should.
No.
Yes.
Why? Anyway. What I thought was amusing was during the day, before the missiles and drones and all that shit was launched from Iran.
Yeah.
I saw something about like the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, like did a special forces mission and like took over a ship in the Red Sea that was Israeli. And I was just, when I read that, like, I really hope that's all this is. Like, I hope that's it. That'd be nice.
Was that a thing? I remember reading something, but I just glanced by it.
Yeah,
I didn't really look into it.
It was like, you know, like what the Houthis did a few months ago with that like helicopter landing.
That was crazy.
That video was pretty crazy indeed. But then, you know, hours later they launch a missile attack at Iran.
Do you know what happened
from Iran? Yeah, like most of them were intercepted over other countries.
Do you know what happened to the boat?
No, I mean, I think they just either raided it or seized it. I don't know. Again, that disappeared into the news cycle the moment all the missiles and drones were launched.
Yeah. So, I saw the news on YouTube. I think it was just at night, and I was just like getting ready. I was trying to put on the podcast to like go to bed too, and I saw the news, and it said Iran is launching missiles and drones.
Yeah, it was at like 1 a.m. over there.
And so the news came out saying that they had been launched. So they were still in the air when the news broke out.
Yep.
And I was like, holy shit.
Good old satellite surveillance.
I know. But then, like, immediately I was like, they're just going to shoot it down.
Yeah, and like a lot, like you saw the coalition that shot it down, right? It was like
it was Jordan, Israel, the UAE, Saudi Arabia. The UAE, Saudi Arabia provided intelligence.
Yeah, they were providing intelligence. They didn't do any of the like actual like firing down.
Jordan
the missiles.
did though.
Jordan did, well, because I mean the missiles violated Jordan's sovereign airspace.
Yeah, and Israel and the U.S. shut them down. So
You're forgetting two. Yeah, France and the UK also shot down some of the drones and ballistic missiles over Iraq and Syria.
Really? I didn't know that. I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, they do some combat operations there, fighting like, you know, the remnants of ISIS and shit.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Yeah.
And, you know, Syria used to be a French colony way back in the day, and so that's part of like the French aspect of it.
So was Lebanon. Well, Lebanon more so.
I mean, they both were, but Lebanon was what they used to call it the Paris of the Middle East.
Yeah, it was pretty wealthy.
Or Beirut, they used to call the Paris of the Middle East, not Lebanon. Lebanon's a country.
Yeah. Dang, I didn't know about that. But yeah,
But yeah, it was like what, like 99% of them.
seven got through. Seven got through out of the 300 something.
Yeah, and like a ton, and like they only damaged one base, and then they injured some 7-year-old girl.
Yeah. So, I heard today that the U.S. like publicly commented on the attack, saying it was a spectacular failure, or like they just deemed it a failure and an embarrassment. They said.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like there's the twofold win that Israel gets from this. And what was it that Biden said? Just take the win. He told Netanyahu, I think.
Yeah.
And the win is twofold. One, a good chunk of the international community is kind of back on the side of Israel now. At least there's less of a critical focus on their attacks in Gaza. I mean, there still is, but it's not as fervent as it was.
Yeah, now they're worried about a larger conflict.
Exactly. But then the other thing too is that, like, all right, so one of your air bases was a little bit damaged, and one of your civilians was injured. That's a pretty good price for killing a senior general and like 13 others.
Yeah, that's the thing that a lot of the media, well, that I've seen fail to mention, is that this was a response to that.
Yeah. You know, I'll be honest. So, like,
or I'm more upset at the framing that media is putting this as just a natural progression of the conflict, right?
Yeah.
But it's not natural. It's sort of been orchestrated to be, further and further increasing the conflict. I mean.
Yeah. God, the thing though. I don't even know how to say it exactly, but the Israelis are not gonna do nothing. They're gonna do something else. Probably launch a strike in Iran proper now. That's where my money's on.
Really?
Yeah, probably. Use it as a. Honestly, here's my most conspiratorial.
I don't think so though, because that's a front that I don't think Israel wants either. Like, they don't want to further this. I mean, they do, but
no, I was gonna say I think they do want to further this, because what they would, okay, if they launch a direct strike on Iran proper, not just Iran proper in another country, like the consulate building that they allegedly bombed. Because again, we don't know for sure, but we know for sure that Israel blew up that consulate building in Syria.
Okay, so why are you saying allegedly?
Because they haven't announced that it was them. The Israelis never confirmed that it was them, even though the world widely knows that it was them.
Yeah, okay.
But like, they'll launch a strike on Iran, and then Iran will get some of their more of their proxies to come into the fight, and then they'll draw Lebanon and Hezbollah into the fight, and then Israel will use that as like a pretext to go and invade Lebanon again, and maybe annex some more territory up north.
Really?
Yeah.
They're gonna. I don't think they're gonna do much of any annexing. Oh, actually, they did annex. They annexed the Section C, I think it was.
Where
of
is
the
it?
West Bank?
Of the West Bank, yeah. Of course.
They did, and it's lost in the news cycle.
Yeah. Oh, and actually, that's the thing. I didn't even know about that. But also, it makes me think.
It's the largest annexation Israel has done.
Really?
Yeah, since like the major ones they did before.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say since those ones earlier on. Makes me think about the whole. What's it called? I saw this piece. I think it was from Al Jazeera, because again, like, that's the thing. Like, major media outlets across the states, in the Western world, have their own look on it, and Al Jazeera has their own hard bias about things. But I wanted to get that perspective, and they were talking about, like, after the strikes, and they had this guy on who is what was he? A professor in Tehran, and he was talking about how it was a major victory for Iran, and he was blah, 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 going on all about this propaganda shit that I'm sure the Iranian regime has been putting out to its civilians and its public. But I'm looking at this like, I feel like this was just mostly like a propaganda tool for the regime for their own population, rather than like an attempt at a serious strike. Because they had to know that most of those were going to get intercepted.
Yeah. Oh, my mic went off.
Resuming, I was talking about how, Iran's doing this as a propaganda thing, and they kind of knew that not much of it was going to get through given the coalition of countries that were going to participate in the defense of Israel. But it was interesting because I was talking to you about before we started recording. I saw this PBS NewsHour interview with Volodymyr Zelensky, president of Ukraine. It was, I think, aired last night, so Monday the 15th.
Yep.
And he was talking about how he made the point that, like, Israel's not a NATO country, and yet NATO countries participated in its defense. And how he was at least it seemed as though he was a little frustrated at how the NATO countries like the US, UK, and France that participated in shooting down some of these drones and missiles with aircraft over airspaces of like Iraq, Syria, and Jordan didn't do the same thing for Ukraine and hasn't been doing the same thing for Ukraine. But on the other hand, I feel like there's a pretty clear fucking reason as to why that hasn't happened.
It's not Russia.
It's not Russia, and Iran doesn't have nukes and hasn't been threatening to nuke people if that shit happens.
Yeah. They gotta approach it differently.
Context.
Yeah, man. I saw some report that you mentioned it that Russia is outpacing all of the NATO countries combined in shell production.
Yeah. Their military complex, their military industrial base has really been ramped up, which makes sense because they're in an active war on like a land war that borders their country.
Yeah. I saw this meme of Greta Thunberg. She was praising Ukraine for their destruction of Russian refineries. It was like the Ukraine's doing more for climate change than other people, but it was fake. But it was hilarious.
Yeah, of course it was fake. Last thing I saw about her was that she got arrested for doing some other shit. I don't fucking care what that Swede has to say, to be honest, about this stuff. I'm like, girl, you're how old?
I don't even know.
Is she like 18 now, something like that?
Yeah, she's a little, yeah.
Maybe she's 20 at most.
I, at the time when she like blew up, I was like, all right.
When she was a 13-year-old girl going, shame on you.
Yeah.
At the United Nations.
Yeah. But honestly, I appreciated it because it takes a lot for you to go in front of public officials and just talk like that. I've done it with like state reps, and like it's just kind of nerve-wracking to try to
absolutely.
Like, I don't talk to the people that like make policies, and you're like, you know that they're not really gonna listen to you, but like you still have to be there and just present your case. But anyway,
I don't deny the courage that it takes to stand up in front of people like that. I just question how informed she is on this shit.
I mean, yeah, I'm sure she just was a lot of the earlier on. She was basing it just on ideology and stuff. But I don't know. I honestly don't keep up with news about her. So
yeah, neither.
I just thought it was funny that
you almost got misinfoed.
Yeah, I legit almost thought that was real, but then I looked further into it and it wasn't real.
Yeah. So we talked about Ukraine. We talked about Israel. Oh boy. Oh yeah. And I mean, who knows? In a week from now, what the fuck's gonna happen in the Middle East?
Yeah.
Like I also heard so I was listening to the Al Jazeera panel discussion.
Oh yeah, what about Al Jazeera?
The whole they're very. So Al Jazeera is ran by Qatar.
Yeah.
And Qatar has relatively close ties with Iran.
Yeah. Well, they're pro-Arab, so yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of pro-Arab, but they're very pro-Palestinian, and they were in the. I didn't like the editorialization of their reporting because I mean.
They do some funky stuff, yeah.
They do that, and it's like, look, I understand what you're doing, and you have your audience, but words are important. And they were like, Israel's genocidal war, and I'm like, okay, I mean, I'm still on the fence about whether or not Israel is like engaging in a genocidal campaign.
Yeah, I legitimately had exact thoughts about that maybe last week. I saw some piece and some data saying that statistically, it's not a complete genocide. And I was like, okay, that makes sense. And like if you look at like the actual breakdown, I don't recall the actual data, but from what I try to like gather and like try to opinionate myself, I honestly, dude, I came to the conclusion that I don't know and I don't understand, and I know that language is powerful, and calling it a genocide has a purpose.
Yeah. There's a purpose for it.
And while I can't comprehend the scale because I just don't know the area, don't know what's happening, don't know anything about that. People on the ground can for sure call it a genocide. They've destroyed most of the buildings.
Yeah, but that doesn't constitute a genocide.
I know, but like, what happens next, and like, where are they gonna live? Like, they're essentially just getting kicked out.
Yeah. Oh, it's. I question about calling it a genocide, but I'm pretty firmly on the camp of like it's an ethnic cleansing.
Exactly. So like
they're trying to push that ethnic population out of that area, make it unlivable for them, and then annex it.
God damn it, dude. I mentioned my solution a long time ago. Build a moat around Gaza.
That's what the fucking Israelis did. They built a giant fence around it and then blockaded the seaport.
A nice moat.
A nice moat.
Yeah.
So something you can go swimming in.
Like a river walk.
No crocodiles.
Like a river walk.
Okay.
Like downtown Manhattan.
Okay. I've talked about my solution for this before.
What?
Just fucking glass the place.
Oh, yeah.
No more Holy Land, no more Holy War.
Yeah. Maybe, I don't know.
Although then, I'm sure some
man.
Zionist out there is going to hear what I just said and accuse me of anti-Semitism.
No, if that happens, dude, I guarantee there's going to be like some crazy prophet. He's going to be like, I will rebirth the Holy Land, and they'll come back.
If
bro.
anything, the fucking evangelicals here in the States will be like, oh my God, it's the end times, Judgment Day, where's the rapture? And then they will all be disappointed.
Yeah.
Oh my God, wait, I have an idea. First, we send all the crazy evangelicals who want the rapture to happen to Israel. Then we glass it.
Yeah. I don't think
Okay.
I've met. Actually, no. In New York, I went to a wedding, an evangelical wedding, and it was the most boring fucking procession I've ever been to. Because, I mean, I get it. They're trying to. So okay. I went to background. I'm Ecuadorian, and mostly Ecuadorians are Catholic and not super strict either way, right? But like,
I wonder why.
The Spanish.
Yeah, I know it's because of the Spanish.
Anyway, but culturally, like my background and like people is like for a wedding there's a party, and people drink alcohol. So last year, my mom came to New York, and then she.
This is when you were living there?
Yeah, and so she came to go to a wedding of a family friend she had, and I went with her, and I went to there was two ceremonies. There was a evangelical ceremony at like a church, and the indigenous ceremony that we did in their house, at, like their backyard. So first was one day, the evangelical ceremony, then the next day was the house ceremony. But yeah, it was evangelical. It's a lot of belief into God and Jesus and praising and being so grateful that God does everything, and I felt the energy coming from it, but me being a bit, not as religious and not like as enthusiastic about, giving my faith and giving it my all and my energy, I did find it a bit culty. But that was just not even culty. At the time, I wasn't thinking like that. I was just kind of disappointed in the lack of like enthusiasm for the wedding. It was just boring, man. That's all I was getting at.
What you're describing there made me think like this whole like, oh, thankful for God for everything and all this stuff. It's like, where the fuck is the person? I can say that. Where the fuck is the personal responsibility?
I know that.
Like, there's no. It feels like there's never accountability.
Yeah. Oh, dude, you know what my mom told me some time ago that like just kind of upset me. She was telling me about the story of the donkey that carried Jesus into some town, right? And the story was, no, she didn't tell me.
Is this in the Bible?
No, but like she showed me of like some Bible story on Instagram or Facebook. I don't know, but anyway.
Oh God, you know.
Anyway,
go ahead. Go ahead.
Right, the whole premise of this little snippet telling the story. So Jesus walks into a town and they praise Jesus and the donkey because the donkey carried Jesus, and everyone's like, putting like wreaths on the donkey or whatever. I don't know. They didn't have wreaths back then, but they were like celebrating the donkey because Jesus helped. The donkey was with Jesus, right? Anyway, so the donkey goes back to his donkey family. And so the donkey mom was like, why do you feel so good? He's like, oh, I was in town. Everyone knew me. Everyone wanted to recognize me and praise me. And then the next day, the donkey goes back into town, back into like the town square, and the donkey gets like kicked out because it's just like a donkey wandering around the town square. And
who's this ass?
Exactly. Who's this ass? So like he gets like kicked out, and then he goes back to his donkey family, and he says
he's dejected. Yeah,
dejected, and his mom's like, well, it's because you're no longer with Jesus, and so all of this praise and good feelings comes when you're with Jesus. And I was like, Mom, what the fuck was the point of this story?
Oh God, so my older brother, he's gotten a bit. I mean, he's always been kind of religious, and he used to be pretty like heavy-handed Republican, and I don't know. Now I think I don't know how to describe it when it comes to politics, but that's not important. The thing I'm trying to bring up here is that I think he joined an evangelical church.
Okay.
And most of our contact is through like Instagram, and he'll like send me a reel because like I'm busy, he's got a family and work and all this shit, and he lives on the East Coast. It's hard to keep in touch, but he'll send me a lot of like religious themed reels and shit on Instagram. Okay. And one recently that like, kind of pissed me off. It's like it was why am I always trying to like convert or like save my friends and family, and then it follows with like a quote, Isaiah something or other, like 50 something 17.
Yeah.
And it basically says like, if your families don't believe in Jesus, they're not getting into heaven, even if they're if they're good people. And
that's what the reel said?
That's what the reel said. And I'm like, well, that sounds a little fucked up. So then I look into it, and that is not at all what that fucking, what is that called, a proverb? Or Psalm, whatever. That is not what that actual quote was. And I posted that to him like, yo, bro, this is what that actual quote is.
Yeah.
That can be interpreted in many different ways, not just in the way you're describing. And also, that's Old Testament, bro. Like, I thought the whole point of being Christian was that the New Testament updated all that shit.
So what did he respond? What he said?
Oh, he did. He was like, yeah, I didn't really like bother looking into the background of it like that. And then I was like, yeah, I looked, I told him though, like, one of these days I'm going to get around to reading the Bible. And I mentioned the King James Bible because like that's the one we all know of, at least here in the States. And he said something, he was like, no, I'm more of into this other Bible, this other edit of the Bible. And then I responded like, yeah, you know what, fuck it, I'm just going to read the Jefferson Bible. So Thomas Jefferson, when he was alive, he wrote a few books, and from what I've heard, they're not very well written because he's more of a prose legislative writer. Okay. Like the Declaration of Independence, I think, is a beautifully written document. But I don't know if I would want to read a novel by him.
Yeah.
And supposedly he also decided to take the Bible and cut out all the horrible shit he didn't like. And he just edited down the Bible to what I think is actually should be the moral framework.
Oh, okay.
And I'm kind of interested in reading that. And so I told him that, like, yeah, bro, we should just do this. Read the Jeffersonian Bible.
That'd be interesting. That'd be funny. Do you know, like, what he cut out?
Not specifics, no.
Okay.
I can't because again, I read this book about Thomas Jefferson by Christopher Hitchens. I think it was called Thomas Jefferson, Author of America. And it was pretty interesting. It gave me interesting context to the background of his life, the contradictions within his life, because like he was very pro. Now the president has a very small amount of power, but then again he was also very pro America as the United States and its future success, which is why he purchased Louisiana. He was the one who bought the Louisiana territories off of Bonaparte. And he also sent the Marines overseas to invade the Barbary states of the Ottoman Empire because they were attacking merchant American and other. I mean, they've been doing it. They were doing it for like 100 or 200 years, where they were attacking merchant vessels, capturing their sailors, and selling them into slavery.
Yeah, the pirate wars.
Yeah, these pirate wars. And then Thomas Jefferson sent our ambassador to the Barbary states and our Ottoman ambassador in England and was like, yo, what the fuck? We're not a Christian nation. We didn't take part in the Crusades. Why are you doing this to us? And they were essentially like, yo, you're not Muslim, so it's okay for us to do this. And then he was like, all right, fuck you, buddy. I'm going to send the Marines. And they invaded Tripoli, I think it was Tripoli. And that's the first place that's the first foreign territory that the United States flag was ever planted on in conquest. Because we took it, and then we forced a treaty. And I think in that treaty, which I think is still legally binding today, I'd have to double check this, but it essentially states that the United States is a secular nation.
Oh.
And I like that. So when Jimmy Carter, before he died, is he still alive?
He's still alive.
That fucking God, and we're paying for his security.
He's still kicking him.
I know. All right, it was his wife that died not that long ago. But anyway, Jimmy Carter.
Dude, I bet after the election, he's just waiting for the election.
Why?
I don't know.
But I just remember, like, when Trump was in office, there was a clip of him speaking at some church. He's like, we're supposed to be a Christian nation. And I'm like, no, we're not. Shut the fuck up. That is not what we are. We are a secular nation that allows for the freedom of religion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hate that he hijacked the evangelical...
Trump or...
The GOP.
Yeah.
GOP. Oh my gosh, talking about Trump. Did you see?
Oh, hang on. I just bumped your cord and I think I made you not audible anymore.
Yeah, I lost.
Cord. All right, we're back.
Hello.
And we're back because of fucking technical difficulties. I bumped a cord and then Yarik's mic stopped working.
Yeah, I forgot what we were talking about.
I did too, but you know what? I'm going to use this transition to talk about something, I don't know, we were talking about evangelicals, I think, and the donkey and the ass and the you said that you don't like how the GOP's essentially captured all the evangelicals, but fuck it. Let's not bother with that shit right now.
Yeah, fuck that.
Did you play the Fallout video game series growing up?
Yeah. I only played Fallout New Vegas.
New Vegas was one of the best ones.
And the Fallout 4, we're in Boston.
Yeah, I think that's Fallout 4.
But I never finished the Boston one.
Dude, that's one of the things. Like, I fucking started Fallout 4, and I got a good chunk of the way through, and I never finished it because I kept getting distracted by all the side quests. And then at a certain point, I was like, I'm done.
Yeah, like, I don't care for the game.
I'm done anymore. I'm done playing. But the new Fallout show just came out on Amazon. Have you seen it?
No.
It is fucking good.
Yeah?
It's really good. And there was one line in it that I really liked as a Fallout player when I was a teenager that goes, these two characters are arguing, and one of them, the Vault Dweller, is like, what about the golden rule? Treat others as you would have done unto you. And then he goes, yeah, well, the wasteland has its own golden rule. Thou shalt always be sidetracked by bullshit every time. And I was like, I can relate, brother. Preach. But yeah, it's really well done. It's fantastic. It's got like all the wonderful references from the video game series. I think even Bethesda Studios, the producer of the video game, was worked on producing the show. So like it's definitely true to the lore of the vaults and everything.
Okay, yeah. I heard about the show, but I wasn't aware that it had come out.
Yeah, the whole season dropped.
Oh, how many episodes? 8
episodes, and it's really well done. The story is fantastic.
Are they like 40-minute episodes?
Yeah, about like 40 to 50-minute episodes.
Okay.
It follows a few main characters, and like the big themes from it that you'll recognize from from the video games are like Brotherhood of Steel, the Enclave.
Where is this set?
It's set. It seems like it's set in outside of LA, or what used to be LA.
Okay, yeah.
Or it's definitely California, because like the NCR, the New California Republic,
yeah.
is part of the storyline.
Cool. Oh, does that mean the new Roman?
No, Kaiser's Legion is not in it.
Oh,
Because
man.
so this takes place like after New Vegas.
Okay.
And it's interesting because it's kind of like you know what, I don't want to give too much away,
Yeah.
but like
I mean, we could talk about the video game.
so yeah, like so for example, like, you know, in New Vegas there's the conflict between Kaiser's Legion and the NCR.
Yeah.
So the NCR is featured in this, especially even the flag with the
bear.
double-headed bear. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's again, I like the show was, I think, fantastically done. The writing's great. There's a good chunk of practical effects that I think were really, really well done. And obviously there's you know, VFX, because it's fucking post-apocalyptic monsters and shit.
Okay. Yeah. No, I really like sci-fi stuff, so I'll definitely check it out.
It's like I said, it's
And just to like.
and even for people who like didn't play the video game series, I think it's a really good story, really well done.
Yeah, it's a good story, because Fallout New Vegas, I finished that game like completely. I did it, I think, 1 year during like November, because I remember it was like turkey time when I was like playing the game. Well,
I
now,
think it probably came. Usually those games would come out around like November.
No. I played this, I think, like when I was in community college.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
after it had
Yeah.
already been out for a while.
Yeah, because I never played it when it came out. But yeah, the story is really captivating. Fallout
Yes.
New Vegas.
Yes.
And like the gameplay as well, because you're just honestly, probably top 3 games I've ever played.
Oh, it's fantastic. Honestly,
Yeah.
watching the show,
Yeah.
I have been wanting to replay New Vegas.
New Vegas is dope. Actually, I saw this thing a long time ago of this guy. He got his girlfriend to play Fallout New Vegas, and the girl had never like really played video games ever. So what he thought was interesting was that there's a learning curve, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And so, you know, you when, like, you know, me and like other kids who like grew up playing video games, you understand certain mechanics.
yeah, absolutely.
Of how to navigate within this 3D world, and it was interesting to see a person who had never played video games go into Fallout New Vegas, which is a very in-depth game.
Oh, very, very.
Like story, like mechanics, and like the world, everything in the game.
And there's a lot of
So-
customization involved in it too, especially so I first played 3.
Yeah.
And 3 is good. But one of the things I remember like dorking the fuck out about when it came to Fallout New Vegas compared to Fallout 3, and again, Fallout 3 has an amazing story.
I never played it.
Liam Neeson's is the voice of the father character in it. You're a vault dweller, and you go
cool.
out to find your dad. But one of the things I didn't like about it was there was never any iron sights.
In 3?
In 3, like when you zoomed in, it would just kind of like do a little zoom in. And you wouldn't look down the gun, or like if you had a scoped rifle, you would look into the scope. But,
Yeah.
but that was it. Meanwhile, New Vegas comes along and they added the iron sights feature, and I loved that aspect. I was like, oh yes.
Oh, so yeah,
It's just the little mechanic things like that.
So the girlfriend, she didn't know how to look at the compass, for example. Like on screen, there's a compass. Like let's say you're on a mission and like it directs you to go a certain direction, right?
Yeah, where the little tick marker is.
Yeah, she like had to like try to understand this mechanic of the compass and like orienting yourself within the world, north, south. Like you have to orientate yourself.
I wonder how long it took her to figure out the VAT system.
Yeah. So no. Yeah. So it was really funny. Like this dude was just, you know, for her first video game experience, Fallout New Vegas. Again, one of the best video games ever, I think.
Absolutely.
It's just so it's really cool to see that it's a show now.
Yeah, it's really well done, and it's got a pretty damn good cast too. God, what's his name? I think it's David.
There was a Borderlands TV show.
I never played the Borderlands game.
I never watched the show. And Borderlands, I played Borderlands 2. It's cool. I don't think I ever finished it. I honestly almost never finish games, or never did really.
Yeah, unless it's like a basic storyline campaign mode, like one of the Call of Duties or Battlefield.
Yeah,
I
the
finished that.
OG COD 4. That was a good story.
That was a great
It was a good story.
Good story. What's another good? Well, of course, Red Dead Redemption 2.
I never played it.
Did you ever play Red Dead Redemption?
No.
Oh, those are both fantastic stories.
Yeah.
Speaking of like video, I saw this what I thought was a hilarious little meme of this guy like playing the first maybe like 3 or 4 hours of the game is like introduction, getting you into the mechanics, and you kind of get fed up with it because you're stuck in the mountains and in the snow and you're barely getting by, and it's like, Jesus Christ, is the whole fucking, and the guy's like playing it and the camera's on him, he's like, is the whole fucking game gonna be this slow? And then it cuts to the ending where like it is a heartbreaking ending if you do the good guy ending. And like when I played it and I beat the game, I fucking cried. Like I was crying like, oh God, this is breaking my heart how beautiful this is, and the sentimentality of it. And like in this clip, the guy, he's just sitting there as the ending is happening and the credits are about to roll, and he's just like losing it and crying his eyes out, and it's like, I relate, brother, I relate.
There's a couple video games that I think would change the minds or opinions of like video game haters, or like people that just kind of like dismiss all video games completely. Like if you were to really sit down,
they're great,
and play Red Dead or Fallout 3, like I said, or just games, Fallout New Vegas, sorry, or Dead Space 2 is really good as well. Like in that scene of like horror and like survival, it's really fucking good.
And like the story is so good.
Yeah, so games like that, they're it's entertainment media, just like you watch movies, you want to get entertained. That's what it is. It's entertainment media. So I don't actually my brother's wife is like a pretty big hater on video games because she says it's like a waste of time, but I've had this argument with her. I'm like, dude, you literally are on your phone. So like if I'm entertaining myself on my phone for like an hour, it's the same thing as me entertaining myself playing a video game for an hour.
And even then, like
what's the difference?
Sometimes playing a video game can be more social than looking at your phone.
Yeah.
Even if it's called social media. Like for example, me and my buddy Alex, he's about to be moving out of his apartment, and he's had for the last maybe year or so this awesome theater setup where like he's got a projector and the whole wall is a screen. And so since he's moving out soon, we're like, all right, we gotta play as much as we can on this awesome setup. And so we've been playing classic Call of Duty Black Ops, and which I remember that Black Ops storyline was fantastic too. But we've been playing zombies.
COD 4.
No, this isn't COD 4. This is Call of Duty Black Ops, which was after 4.
Oh yeah,
this is the one in the 70s.
They had a back-to-back hits.
Yeah. But the thing is though, like we've been playing that, and that has all the zombies maps, and just it's a great way to just hang out with your friend, chill, play it, get into the game. Like when we started playing it again, we were shit. We were getting like 4 rounds in, and then now like last time we played, which it was last night, we were playing a few rounds of it. The first round, 12 rounds. Second, 6. We got cocky. And then the last one, 12 rounds again, and we can't get past this 12-round hump, and so that's the next goal, get past that hump.
Okay.
But speaking of other games, and the mechanics of games, we also tried playing Rainbow Six Vegas and Rainbow Six Vegas 2, which are very good games, and they were one of the first games that introduced a realistic mode, or like what in Call of Duty would call a hardcore.
Yeah.
Where, like 1-2 shots and you're down.
Yeah.
And in this game, it's like that, but the fucking game mechanics are their own unique thing.
Yeah, it's very hardcore. I never got into shooters, honestly. So I never really kept up with them, cuz there was always I was always a PC guy, so shooters were always for the tryhards, and whenever I would go play games, I'd always just get smoked, and I was like, this isn't fun. It's not.
Yeah, I get that.
Going back to being social with video games, it's a good time, man. Stop being video game haters. Go play some good games. Going back to the news, I had to a story of freaking.
You know, I'm gonna fucking
billionaire-
kick these cords and have you shut the fuck up.
Why?
I'm just because you want to cut all that shit about video games.
No, I'll keep
No,
most of it in there.
I'm
But
just-
like
I'm just-
honestly, dude, that story at the end, I was like, there's no one cares about this.
Yeah. Okay.
Like,
Regardless, this person who stole trillions of dongs.
okay, so yeah. So there's this billionaire in Vietnam.
Yeah, Vietnam.
She has recently been sentenced to death. Her name is.
She was sentenced to death for embezzling or defrauding something like the equivalent of $44 billion.
Yeah, which was 300 and something trillion dong. All right. So was this Truong Mylan? Yep, a real estate tycoon was sentenced to death by a court in Ho Chi Minh City in connection with the country's biggest fraud case, according to state media.
Bro, I just did a quick little Google. Speaking of this, I was curious. Like $44 billion, that's a lot of money. What's the GDP of Vietnam? It's $408 billion. She fucking defrauded 10% of the country's GDP.
Yeah, it's insane.
That is insane.
It's insane.
What would that be in the United States? 10% of 20 trillion?
2 trillion?
2 trillion. Jesus fucking Christ. Oh my God.
Dude. Wait, it says she's accused of committing fraud worth 12 billion.
I read 44. Or maybe I'm mistaking what her supposed net worth is.
Yeah, it says 12 billion. I saw somewhere else that it was like 17 billion. Oh, no, okay. 12 billion. I saw somewhere else it said 17 billion Canadian, which maybe that's, US money. But yeah, so sentenced to death. And apparently, this is a bigger story.
Oh, wait, hang on. I'm looking at this quick little BBC thing. And the BBC article I read, that I read about it, Vietnamese billionaire sentenced to death for $44 billion in fraud. And the little rundown is convicted of taking out $44 billion in loans from the Saigon Commercial Bank. And the verdict requires her to return $27 billion.
Okay, so yeah, I know.
And some believe the death penalty is the court's way of trying to encourage her to return some of the missing billions.
Yes. So this is part of a bigger story. So Vietnam has had somewhat recently, like the past several years, have been cracking down or trying to crack down on corruption. They had 2 previous presidents who were dismissed, and I think they were charged or were dismissed because of corruption charges.
Prime ministers, you said?
Presidents.
Presidents.
But like their actual like political leader has a different title. It's not the president. Because they're still the Communist Party of Vietnam.
Yeah.
So so it's part of a bigger story because the Communist Party of Vietnam, as of the past couple of years, has been trying to crack down on corruption because apparently, they're trying to do this to legitimize their power. They're still trying to they're still maintaining their power. They're doing good, and that's what they're continuing to do. They're trying to showcase that they're still doing good, and
they're still in control.
Yeah, and they show that by having good economy, growth year over year, and their growth has been insane the past couple of 5 years since 2019. I think in 2022 or 2021, their GDP grew from year to date from the previous year by 12% or something like that. So
that's fucking crazy.
I know.
What does the U.S. do? On a good year, it's 4%? That's a really good year.
That's really good. They try to keep it at 2 or something.
And 2 to 3, I think, is the goal.
Yeah. But yeah, I think a year or two ago they did 12%, and then last year they did another 5%. So they've been, for the past 5 years, they've only been going up in their economy, and that's their whole deal because they're trying to industrialize and bring in manufacturers that don't want to be in China. So they're trying to attract the certain manufacturing market, right? Yeah. So the Communist Party is doing this crackdown on corruption to help legitimize their power. And apparently, people, you can't, in Vietnam, you can't own more than 5% of a bank. And the way she committed this fraud was by creating fake fake companies, shell companies, right? And then she used those companies to buy shares in to gain ownership of the bank, right? Through these shell companies. And through these different shell companies, she eventually got close. She got to 90% ownership of the bank. And therefore, I think it's 90% ownership, or I know for sure they said she 90% of the loans, that's it, 90% of the loans that the bank issued were to her own fraudulent companies.
Oh, all these little shitty shell companies.
Yeah. And on top of that, there's people in the bureaucracy, right, in the government and in the financial world over there. They were also bribed by her. So everyone was being bribed. One of the officials got 17 years in prison because
he was bribed by her.
Yeah, they were bribed $5 million to just look the other way from her stuff.
Yeah, talking about this fraud makes me think about all the fraud that was during the pandemic with all the
PPPs.
Yeah, the PPP loans. So much fucking fraud.
So much fucking, and nothing's come of it.
I know. Look, all right. So there was a company I used to work for, and they fraudulently got PPP loans and claimed that they had they claimed something like they had 200 employees when they definitely fucking did not have 200 employees, and got huge amounts of money, and then they were under an audit for it, and the audit was dragging on for a long time. And this is also one of those things. I think they also were a women-owned business and an employee-owned business, which I believe gets them tax credits or tax discounts when filing, and they were employee-owned because they paid themselves a salary and claimed to be an employee of the company when it's they're not. They're fucking owners.
Yeah.
And so there's that bullshit tax loophole, and then women-owned because the two of them owned it and she owned 51%, and so it was a woman-owned business.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here what the fuck?
Dude, my family should have done PvP fraud. If everyone was getting away with
Shoulda, coulda, woulda.
Yeah. Another story. Moving on from. Actually, do you want to continue with the corruption? I mean, she
might get killed.
She might get killed. She's also appealing, so the whole thing isn't over yet.
Yeah.
So, but I think it's pretty cool that it made world news. But it's funny because in the U.S. they're not really covering this. U.S. mainstream media, they're not really covering this story. I saw this breakout on BBC and the Canadian fucking public network. I didn't see any of these stories, and I didn't see any of the U.S. mainstream channels talk about this.
You're talking about the Vietnamese?
Yeah. My land. I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, I saw it on BBC. I don't think I don't look at that much. I mean, I'll flip through the basic headlines on the front of the pages just to see what the hell these corporate news medias are up to.
On YouTube, it shows up in my algorithm, different news medias, but I didn't see it. And when I was looking at the My Land story, I was only seeing it from BBC and other overseas news agencies and the Canadian Public Broadcast Network. Why isn't the U.S. talking about this?
Because we got a bunch of other shit going on that we're talking about.
Well, yes.
We got the Trump trial going on.
Well, yes, but...
We got the whole potential World War III.
Well, yes, but also they don't want to set... I think they don't want to, just show the story because they don't want to...
They don't want people looking at them and all their fraud?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Speaking about fraud, we've been defrauded of a good time by Kellogg's, the cereal producer.
Oh my God, we're going to this?
Because,
Jesus Christ.
Because they changed the mascots. They're going woke. They're going too woke, man. Oh shit. They're going too woke. Kellogg's.
That's but okay, hang on. I understand what you mean by they're going too woke, and I have a problem. I have a major problem with wokeness and all that bullshit, but You pitched this to me before we started recording as them gentrifying. So, all right, are they gentrifying it or are they going woke? Because to me, it seems like those two things are incompatible.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Every woke person I know fucking hates gentrification.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
That's what I mean.
Okay.
But regardless, what's going on with the Apple Jacks?
I don't know anything. I just know that they changed it.
Yeah.
Explain
it to the listeners.
So if people don't know, Apple Jacks is a cereal, and their mascots were very popular in like the mid 2000s.
What were the mascots? Describe them.
So it's Cinnamon, right? His name is fucking Cinnamon.
Oh, that's definitely Jamaican.
He's Jamaican man. Like he would fucking have the accent. Like they make him like a stoner vibe, you know.
In the commercials.
And like he has dreads, right? He's from fucking Jamaica. And then his buddy is this crackhead Apple. He was just crazy, right? So it was just and like the cinnamon would calm down Applejacks because Applejack's kind of off the rocker. Anyway, it was a whole thing. Like it was
part of their branding.
It was like a buddy cop, right? Like a buddy cop, like thing.
Starsky and Hutch. Yeah. Only it's Crack Apple and Cinnamon.
So they had character, right? Now there's no character.
Yeah, they looked pretty.
It's just a generic apple and a generic cinnamon stick.
Yeah, it looks pretty boring.
Yeah, that's it. Like, why? 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 Where's the entertainment? Where's the story? Where's anything? Where's the passion in the cereal?
It's fucking advertising, so I don't give a shit. But it does make me think about, oh God, what was it? Do you remember Trader Joe's had I think they had these little burritos that they would sell. This was years ago, and there was a bit of a woke fuss about it. And Trader Joe's was like, "No, fuck you guys." And I was like, "Yeah, Trader Joe's, tell them." But essentially, they had on the package for these like little burritos in there, like pre-made burritos, Trader Jose.
Okay, yeah.
And people were getting up in a fuss about it, and then Trader Joe's was like, "Shut the fuck up. That's what Joe is in Spanish. It's Jose." Yeah. What do you? Fuck you.
Yeah. And who makes burritos? Fucking Jose.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like,
would you expect a burrito? Would you expect a burrito from a guy named John or Joe?
Edward's burrito. Yeah, I think this is
Henry's burritos.
This is the same thing that Mars had to go through when they took the green M&M's heels out. Because the green M&M we used to wear like nice white heels. They weren't even that tall. They were just like white heels, right, for the girl.
Yeah, wasn't it just making it clear that it was making? I mean, they also gave her they also gave her eyelashes.
They were just making her a bit feminine.
Yeah,
right?
they were making her more feminine.
Right.
Yeah.
And now she wears sneakers and like less makeup, right?
God, I've been out of the ad realm for so long.
This was a whole deal last year or 2 years ago, right? But no, this was a big deal like 2 years ago, right? But hold on.
I can't keep going. Oh!
In New York, there's an M&M store, like legit in Times Square. It's like the centerpiece of Times Square.
I'm sorry. I just love how fucking riled up you're getting about this. They're fucking ads.
I know, but like, we all see them, and it's a great. Well, a lot of people do, right?
Yeah.
And it's a greater. Okay, so in Times Square, there's an M&M store, giant. It's like 2-3 floors of M&Ms and M&M brandings, right? And they still have there. I was there last October, so this was way past when they like rebranded her. At the M&M store, they still have the green M&M in heels, even in the branding there. So I don't understand what the fuck they made a whole fuss about it. If in New York they're gonna still keep her sexy.
Inconsistency.
Exactly. See, that's what upset me. Because in New York they're using her like sexy M&M image to bring people in, but then publicly they denounce her. That's rude.
Did they denounce her or did they just whitewash her?
I think they actually like went out of their way to say like, yeah,
We're sorry for the way we've presented the femininity.
Yeah, I think they actually went out of their way to say they're trying to desexualize her or something.
Jesus fucking Christ.
So if you look at new M&M commercials, she's no longer wearing heels.
I hope I don't see any of this. I've been pretty good at avoiding commercials and shit for, I don't know, I'd say like the last 5 or 6 years. And recently, as like Amazon and Netflix and Hulu have started adding ads into their stuff, I'll be honest, I'm not enjoying it. I'm not liking it.
Oh, dude,
It's fucking annoying.
Yeah, we used to share Netflix passwords with my brother's wife.
Oh yeah, that whole thing with the password sharing is not allowed anymore. My brother's
wife's sister. We used to share, the Netflix thing, and now we lost the Netflix, and now I gotta be like, hey, I'll give you like half the month's subscription if like it's under your name, but then you share the password.
Yeah, but you can't even do that anymore because you need to be like signed on to the Wi-Fi network that the account is registered
there's
for.
Like a higher, there's an even like I think there's like an even higher tier where you can share
pass.
It's so fucking stupid.
I'll be honest though, like, I'm not surprised. God, you have been popping a few times tonight. But anyway,
it's the mics. We need better mics.
I'm not surprised, although it might be the fucking connection to the mics.
Yeah,
but I'm not surprised that these companies, these streaming services, have started introducing ads now. Because let's think about it. When you don't have ads and you're just fucking doing a subscription model, you're not really making that much money. What they did for these past several years was they built up a viewer base, a relatively loyal viewer base on these various apps, and then now they're introducing the ads to make the money.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I think the mic just picked up.
I heard all of that.
I didn't even burp. That was in my stomach.
I heard all of that. Jesus Christ, what was I going to say?
I don't know. My internal burp distracted us.
What did you just say?
Something about some shit.
What the fuck?
I don't know. We were talking about ads and streaming services.
Oh yeah, they charge a lot of money. Oh yeah, I think Netflix makes money now. I think they were at a loss for a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think they make money. But yeah, I have gone back to pirating. Like I lost Netflix, and I was like, I don't want to do something. So I was like, I just want to watch this one thing, right? Like the Last Airbender.
Oh, I heard they did a new Last Airbender.
Yeah, it's on Netflix. But just as I watched the first episode, and then I lost my access to it.
Oh, that's too bad.
So
See, that's the thing. I never.
Now I'm gonna pirate it.
I'll be honest. Over the last maybe 2 years, I kind of just fallen away from watching Netflix stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it's just because there's just so much to entertain yourself with. I don't need it.
Yeah.
I don't need to watch anything, honestly.
Yeah.
But I'm a big fan of the animated series, so I would like to check out the whole thing. But yeah. Big tech news, actually. I don't have any story.
What the fuck was that?
I'll cut that out.
All right, so any predictions for this upcoming week?
Predictions on world events?
Yeah, let's talk about that. Or actually, do you want to do a little bit about the Trump trial? Because the first criminal trial that Trump's for Trump is underway.
Oh, he fell asleep.
Yeah, I heard about that. I'll be honest, I don't blame him. Those things look fucking tedious and boring as shit.
Dude, I was hold on. I was in the audience of a federal district court hearing. It was regarding DACA hearing in Texas. I was in Texas, and I was also in another federal district court in New Orleans.
Did you fall asleep in both of them?
They were so fucking boring, dude. They were so fucking boring. I don't understand how these motherfuckers get up. This is their job. They have to research this. They have to put all this paperwork together. They have to do all of this to stand up there for like 40 minutes each and give the most fucking boring presentations possible. Because there's like rules and like decorum and stuff and like, you know, a procedure. Yeah, it's just boring, man. I would not ever want to be a lawyer.
I was briefly talking about this with my brother the other day, and it's just like, yeah, in the first day of like trying to get the jury selection for the Trump case, they dismissed like 50 people who they decided, who either just flat out said, I can't be fucking impartial, or through lines of questioning of like, yeah, like I think they were asking questions like, you know, have you ever belonged to like the Proud Boys or Antifa or all this like hard left,
brother.
hard right, kind of like trying to figure out where people's political landings are and if that would color their perception of things. And I think I agree with what my brother said. It's like, given how much of a profile Trump has, both when he was president and from before he was president and also after, it's impossible to find people that are fucking impartial for this.
Yeah, you have to go to like Alaska and find like a freaking
Or Maine
and find some like hermit.
That, or honestly, I think the best chance is you're gonna have to find someone who's apolitical.
Who?
I mean, you just screen out all Republicans and Democrats. Just look at the independent pool.
Yeah, you know, yeah, I'm sure.
But even then, in the independent pool, there's still probably a good chunk of them that have very strong opinions on this subject.
Yeah, that is a hard thing. I didn't think about that.
Okay, you know, hey, we had the eclipse.
Oh yeah,
That was pretty cool. I went to see it down in Indianapolis. It was
how was that?
stunning for about 4 minutes of totality. I tried to take some photos with my camera. It did not turn out well.
No light.
Well, I mean, no. I mean, the light was fine. It's just I tried to take a photo of the eclipse because, like, it is so spectacular with the like the corona you can see coming off of it from behind the halo.
Yeah.
And it's the lighting wasn't good and too small and not the right lens. But regardless of all that, it's fantastic. I think I'm going to travel to Spain in 2 years for the next one. There's going to be a total solar eclipse going across Spain in August of 26.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to travel over there for that and maybe go to either Valencia or some other city.
Dude.
It's also going to be hitting Reykjavik, I believe, too, in Iceland.
Oh, that's cool.
But it's only going to be like for 45 seconds there, and meanwhile it'll be like for a minute and a half, almost 2 minutes in Spain. Then the next one in the United States is in 2033 in Alaska, and then there's another one in 2044 in like the northwest mountainous states of like Montana, Idaho, and Washington.
Dude, in the morning I was like, in the morning of the eclipse, I was like, fuck, I need to, if I drive now, I woke up at like 7 a.m.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck, if I drive now, I can make it to Indiana.
You would not have. I mean, you would have made it to Indiana, but driving on the day of is a nightmare.
No, I could have.
Are you accounting for the traffic that would have been there? All the other people traveling down that way?
Yeah, I had like fucking like 5-6 hours to make it on time. Yeah.
With good traffic, it would have been a 3-hour drive.
Exactly.
We're talking like the worst traffic you've ever fucking seen in your life.
Dude, I honestly,
especially if you stuck to the interstate, like on the whole drive down there and the whole drive back, I avoided the interstate. It was actually kind of funny. I was driving through this town small city.
I wasn't gonna head to Indianapolis. I was gonna head down to the obscure region border between Terre Haute.
But regardless, I was driving back and I was coming through Frankfort, Indiana. And I'm stuck in traffic as I'm making my way through the city center, and it's a tiny little city center. And there's these guys walking by. I've got my windows open. I'm listening to music. I'm listening to Pink Floyd, The Dark Side of the Moon. Great album to listen to after the eclipse. But I'm driving, smoking a cigarette, and this guy pokes his head over, and he was like, "Did you travel down here for the eclipse?" And I was just like, "Yeah, worth it, totally." He's like, "This is the worst traffic I've ever seen in my life." And I'm looking at it like, honestly, this is fucking mild for like a Chicago rush hour. This is not that bad.
Yeah.
I'm moving slowly.
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude. Chicago's the worst traffic city in the country.
Is it?
It is.
I don't know. I've heard pretty poor things about New York.
No, Chicago's worse. Chicagoans spend more time in traffic than New Yorkers do.
Is that just because we have more cars? New Yorkers walk more?
Maybe. But
I mean,
No, man. But like Chicago's traffic is stupid because it's just kind of it's inefficient when there's
It's inefficient, and also it's a matter of construction.
There's
always fucking construction. It shuts down lanes and it makes things worse.
It's the idea of it's throughput. It's a throughput issue. So when traffic happens, everything slows down because there's just not enough throughput to go through. There's too many cars on the road.
Too many cars, not enough road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're the worst traffic city in the country.
God, can't wait to get out of here. I was just gonna say a little something about politics again, with like the Trump derangement syndrome that I've noticed that lefties have.
Yeah.
All right, this is what I'll say about it. So you know how there was that like support for Israel, Ukraine, Taiwan, as well as a border deal bill that was almost passed, and then Trump basically said, "Guys, don't pass it because I want the border to be an issue during the election." And they didn't, and then the GOP was like, all right, fine. The Congress just decided we're not going to vote on it. I'm so happy they didn't vote on it because A, I didn't want more money to go to Israel because it just doesn't need more money.
Yeah.
B, I personally don't want more military aid going to Ukraine because I want Ukraine to essentially sue for peace and just fucking...
Hold on. Isn't the whole thing about Ukraine receiving military aid just sort of a loan?
What do you mean?
It's a loan.
It's a standalone bill?
No, like it's a loan to Ukraine. Like whatever aid we're giving to them, it's like a loan. It's not...
No. A lot of it has been grants.
You sure?
Yes, and the thing is, Mike Johnson, the current Speaker of the House, is trying to pass a standalone Ukraine funding bill that makes more of it a loan as opposed to grants. But regardless, the reason I don't have a problem with it because of the money. I have a problem with it because of the lengthening of misery and death in the region. Like as long as the war keeps going on, more young men are going to keep getting fucking killed and severely wounded and legs blown off and arms blown off. And it's just more misery and suffering.
Yeah.
That's why I like my view on the Ukraine aid thing is, yes, the moral thing to do is to supply them with weapons so that they can defend themselves. They were attacked. But the ethical thing to do, in my view, is to just fucking get the war over as quickly as possible so that fewer people die. But then the other thing that really bugged me about this bill was the provision. There was a provision regarding the border where it would have given the president unilateral authority to shut down the legal ports of entry.
Oh.
And I do not think the president should have that power. It doesn't matter who the president is. The presidency should not have that power because that's a dangerous precedent to set. Like, all right, sure, maybe somebody who won't really use that will be in power like Biden, but then what if Biden loses to Trump and then Trump comes in and then just fucking shuts the border down for 4 years, which he could possibly do under that.
So how would this rule been? This rule would have been permanent?
Yeah, well, at least as long as the bill was in effect for, because some bills expire after a certain number of years. But it would have given the president to declare when it's overrun and shut the border down, which is not a power the president should have. That is a power that should remain with Congress. Yeah. But when I was at the Eclipse, there's one of those like hyper lefty people that I know was down there, and he was talking. He likes to bring up politics, and I'm like, look, bro, I don't really see much of a difference between Trump and Biden. I mean, there obviously is differences, but they're both pretty fucking terrible. And he's like, oh, well, he's older than me. I think he's in his 60s, and he's just like, oh, we're in trouble if the young people. I'm not even that young. The young people today can't see the difference between Biden and Trump. I'm like, no, I see the difference. One's a decrepit old man, and the other's a depraved old man. But both old men that have some pretty backwards ideas. And then he goes, oh, tell me one thing that Biden's done bad. And I'm like, oh, I got a list, buddy. Went off on this list, and then I brought up this like unilateral shutdown of the border as part of that deal, and he was like, oh, do you know why? Because then we would have given more money to you, because he wanted to get more money to Ukraine. And I'm like, and Israel. But the thing that I think I feel like is going on with at least Democrats and left-leaning people in the United States, is there's this idea of like, we need to get aid to Ukraine no matter what, even if that means we're going to set a horrible precedent by giving the president the power to shut down the border.
See, the thing about that is that a lot of people aren't educated, because I had no idea that was part of the provisions.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. And I'd like to sort of interject on the, difference between Biden and Trump. There is a big difference. There's a huge difference.
I don't see it. They're both war hawks towards Iran. Biden has kept pretty much every single tariff that
Biden cares about America more than Trump does, like legitimately, and I really believe that. He has like these, I don't know.
They both care, in my view, about their version of what they think America is.
Okay, sure, because Trump wants to help out all his corporate buddies, but even then, Trump is not wanted to, like, the periphery of the GOP and the big corporates want Trump in there, not because he might be cool, but because he's a useful idiot, and because they understand that he wants for himself policies and things in place that overall might benefit other big names or conglomerates.
But the thing is, like, you view this, you say this like Biden's not a useful idiot for the people who want him in power.
That too, but understand that I think personally that he also understands this somewhat, and is, for lack of a better just action, he has to continue to try to oppose Trump, because if he's the only one, no one else can do it, and so that's
bullshit.
No,
he's the only one, because he's been trying to become the president for 40 years.
There's no one else. If anyone else comes up, or would have come up in the time, he would have lost. They just would have lost. That's just
he wouldn't have.
Yes, because that's how.
No, the Democratic establishment got behind him because he captured the fucking Democratic establishment, and then they're essentially, I feel like they're gaslighting the American public, where like Jon Stewart had a great bit about this, like, oh, he's got so much energy, oh, he's doing this, and it's just, do you have any footage of that? Because that would be very nice to see.
No, that's fine, but I'm still saying that. Yeah, I agree with that sentiment. Because again, the Democratic establishment also just sort of picked him. But what
they picked him, and then they essentially have gaslighted the American public into thinking that no one else had a chance to beat Trump but him. When I think that's fucking stupid.
I know. I kind of agree with that. Or for this current run,
Okay.
For this run, who would have on a Democratic candidate?
Okay.
Who?
Bernie would have had a better chance, for one, and I don't even like Bernie that much. There's that.
Really? I really don't think so, because as much as you might think there's a bunch of lefties, there's also a bunch of centrists, and the centrists of America would not have voted for Bernie.
I'm not even talking about the lefties. I'm talking about all right. So
on the
I know I know plenty of people who voted for Bernie in the 2015 presidential primary, and then voted for Trump in the general election. Because
it was sort of this like persona.
Bernie and Trump have more in common, and so Bernie would have probably been a better bet to beat Trump, and probably still would be, given it. He's more, and plus I think the fucker's more articulate than Biden is.
Yeah, that's true. So I'll rephrase my statement. With the Democratic approval, there's no one else that would have been set up to had a chance.
Like no one else would have been able to get the Democratic approval.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
That's a problem for Democrats, not for the rest of the country. And it's the thing is, and this is why I fucking hate primaries.
Right. So that
primaries are the devil.
There is a difference, man.
Because like, look, there's barely a difference.
We can move on from that. There's a big difference.
There's not that much of a difference. I don't see it.
You're thinking very abstractly, which I agree. There's not much difference.
No, I'm also thinking concretely. Like in policy position.
There's things that Biden believes in that Trump doesn't believe in, and vice versa. So they're very different, man.
There's things that they both say they believe in that are different than what the other believes in, but in their actions, they're practically the fucking same.
And also,
the only thing that's big, the only big difference between the two is Trump doesn't want to give more money to Ukraine, and Biden does.
Besides,
and then the tax cuts that are going to be extended the next year.
Besides that, Biden thinks, or has always throughout his career, tried to be a statesman. A proper statesman. He's tried
to model himself after the Kennedys, which he's plagiarized multiple times in previous election attempts. And look, this is my view on the matter. Both are terrible for the country. Which way do you want to die? Pneumonia, Trump, or cancer, Biden? He's been a cancer to our public system since the 70s. He's passed some of the most horrible crime and drug bills in the 70s and 80s that, like, he's responsible for the difference in sentencing between crack cocaine and powder cocaine. He's responsible. He fucking wrote the first draft of the Patriot Act that he tried to get passed in 94 after the Oklahoma City bombings. And then once the 9/11 happened, everyone was in such a panic that he was able to pretty much copy and paste what he wrote before with a few little changes, and that's got us what we got today, which created the Department of Homeland Security, created ICE, and is a greater expansion to the federal government and the presidential powers. Look, I think Trump has done shit to this world, to this country. He fucked over the immigration system quite a bit while he was in charge. Biden has fucked over this country in different ways. But in both cases, they have done enormous damage to this country and will, regardless, continue to do it in their own unique flavor.
Understand that.
Yes, they're different, but the effect is also we're in a worse situation as a result.
But also try to put into context that we know all of this now, right? Because we've had like 20, 30 years of experience of what these policies have done. But at the time, when these crime bills were being passed in the 80s and 90s,
they were advocates at the time who were telling people this is what's going to happen.
And it culminated with Bill Clinton passing one of the crime bills,
which was probably written by Biden,
that I think doubled the prison population within like the first couple years.
Yeah.
At the time, crime in cities.
Oh, in the 90s, it was bad. Early 90s,
like
it was bad.
It was so fucking bad that it was a reactionary measure.
Okay, yeah, but I'm talking about these bills that Biden bragged about that he wrote in the 70s and 80s that led, I think, to this increase in crime. Plus, there's other factors that affected these things as well.
I don't know anything because, like, we could get into. I don't know anything about that. We can get into detail about like how these policies changed the dynamics of the country. But
again, Biden's been trying to become president since the early 80s.
Okay.
And he finally got a chance to, and he's been doing an okay job at it. But again, it's just been an increase in the expansion of power that the president has and a takeaway of the power that the Congress has. I don't like it.
Trump did the same thing.
Yes, I know. It's been a fucking... Look, this is the history of the last, 8 presidents. I can do more than the guy before me. And then it goes again and again and again and again and again. It's just, when are we going to stop fucking doing this?
I don't know. I really don't. Well, again,
I do want to talk briefly about the primary system, though, because the primary system, I think, is one of the big culprits of this.
Yeah.
Because it's essentially, you get the most hardcore supporters of a party to choose what that party's nominee is going to be.
Yeah, I don't understand it.
It's 12th Amendment bullshit.
Really?
Part of it. The 12th Amendment overcorrected for the tie in the Electoral College between Aaron Burr, I think, and Thomas Jefferson. Because there was no idea. They were like, what the fuck do we do? And before the 12th Amendment, first place in the Electoral College became president. Second place, vice president.
Oh.
So that's how you had Thomas Jefferson as vice president to John Adams. They were two different parties, but vice president and president. And then they overcorrected for it by introducing the 12th Amendment, which essentially makes it so that you have to get a plurality. So you need like more than 50% of the Electoral College to become president. That's where we get the 270 votes in the Electoral College threshold as being elected president today. But also, part of this provision is that when you're voting for president, you are voting for a president and vice president ticket at the same time. So no matter what, you get a president and vice president together. And then, so that's what gets the party selection system. And then they go to these primaries, and the primaries, I fucking hate that. I also don't like the whole winner takes all with the Electoral College. I think that was a race to the bottom, which we need to either pass a law at the federal level or a constitutional amendment. What I would like to see as a constitutional amendment is to repeal the 12th Amendment and then fix up that idea of the first place takes president, second place takes vice president, and say in the event of a tie, ranked choice voting from the other candidates who did not make the cut for the top two, and then divide those votes based on the second choice and third choice into those two candidates to determine who would actually win.
This has to get passed on state levels before it gets like even like picked up by the national level.
What do you mean? Which part?
Just that whole process you just explained. Like that has to be implemented in states.
No. It has to be done at a federal level to force all of the states to do it. Because that's the thing. When a state gives their electors proportionally based on the vote of their state.
One state does that. I forgot.
It's one of the states that doesn't matter that much. That only has like 4 or 5 electors.
It's Iowa.
No, it's not Iowa. I think it's like Nevada or something like that. It's one of those sparsely populated states. But actually, it might be Hawaii.
No. It's in the middle of the country.
Oh. But regardless, when you have a state that gives all of its electors to the popular vote winner in that state, that makes it so that state's weight in the election is more than a state that divides it up proportionally. And that's why it was a race to the bottom. Because once one state started doing it, other states had to go, okay, we want the same weight as what that state's doing. And then now all but I think 1 or 2 states do that.
Yeah, it's Nebraska and Maine.
Okay.
Let's put up their votes.
Again, and so each of those states probably has only like 4 or 5 electors they send. The 2 senators and then like the 2 or 1 for Congress. Maine's probably only got 3, I'll be honest.
Yeah. Biden gave money to Amtrak, so it's my president. He wants to fix the trains. You know they're rebuilding. I filled out a survey that the Chicago Union Station had on like because they're gonna remodel it. So all I said was you just need to make even like the area where the trains are being loaded to make that beautiful. And like put like nice nice facade or something.
Load-bearing buildings.
A load-bearing building, dude. Nice stonework.
I remember when we were up by the what you call it, Northwestern University. You're looking around. Oh, I love this. We need more buildings like this. Load-bearing building. I'm like, yo, Yark, that's a church.
It's still a pretty building.
I don't know. Churches are very beautiful buildings.
I slapped a stone. Yeah. I love load-bearing buildings.
I love the sound when I slap stone.
Yeah. But I think we should wrap it up.
Yeah, I do too. I think we got like a good hour and 20 between the two, maybe.
Yeah. Yep.
Cool. Well, fuck you, Yark.
Yeah. Thank you guys, and tune in next week. You'll hear my adventures from Seattle.
2 weeks from now.
Oh yeah.
Because we're going to be posting this next week.
Yeah. Well, we can maybe have record the next one. Anyway.
Yeah, you know what? You want to start recording a week ahead?
Tune in.
Because that way, when like everything goes down and the shit hits the fan, we can, just post an episode and then run into our bunkers.
Yeah. Tune in next time. I'll tell you guys about my Seattle adventures.
Let me just correct myself, not the bunkers, but run into the vaults.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Hell yeah.
Bye.